Welcome to the Boxing Bookie. We are back. We are back. It's good to be back. Hamzah Sheeraz with the destruction, with the beatdown, 1 round or less. Liam Williams. I thought the Noakes fight and the Anthony Yard fight were quick, but that was crazy. Hamzah Sheeraz. Anyone remember the Bradley Skeet fight? Anyone? Anyone? Is that ancient history? That's just forgotten about forever. It should be. Look, Hamzah Sheeraz is going to be a problem for anyone for the foreseeable future at and around 160 pounds. The Bradley Skeet fight it's just lost. It doesn't matter. It's over with. It was so long ago. It was over 2 years ago now. Doesn't matter. He's gone on and he's taking care of business against everyone. He took care of Skeet. He got the stoppage, and everyone wants to make a big deal about that. Bradley Skeet is still probably to this day, probably the best guy he's fought, right? Skeet is not a bum. He's got a couple. He mostly lost. Skeet never really beat anyone. John Thane. Sam Eggington, of course. If you beat Sam Eggington, that's the one of note, of course. But Hamzah Sheeraz is going to be a problem. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's like, Hamzah Sheeraz versus Ammo Williams on June 1st. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Neither promoter, neither Eddie Hearn nor Frank Warren would risk that at this point. But he's there. He's at that level. Speaking of also being at that level, Sam Noakes. Matt Noakes is former catcher for the Detroit Tigers and New York Yankees. Sam Noakes, no relation to Matt Noakes, is also at that level. Sam Noakes is ready. When you talk about the elite 135-pound prospects, Keyshawn, Andy Cruz, Kid Austin. When you talk Abdullah Mason, when you talk about those names, I'll tell you who belongs amongst those names. And that's Sam Noakes. Sam Noakes is like that. He's at that level. He's ready. I want to see him take a big step up. Just like I want to see Kid Austin take a big step up. I mean, it's been. Has Kid Austin lost a round yet? Right? And Sam Noakes is just destroying people. You can see who really gets the promotional push. Who's like that and who's not. Sam Noakes is a seek and destroy guy. This was supposed to be a challenge. This was supposed to be a test for Sam Noakes. How did that go? I understand he looks a little sloppy at times, but there's a lot to Sam Noakes. He's 13-0, 13 knockouts now, but he's more than just a power hitter. He's more than just a puncher. There's a lot to this guy. And, I know he's only 13 fights in. He's 26. I'd like to see him push. I'd like to see him fight Hector Tanahara. I don't know where Ryan's at, but I'd like to see him fight Hector Tanahara. Let's see how he deals with either a really good boxer or let's put him in. Let's match him tough. What about like Dennis Bierenchik or something like that? Oscar Duarte. Can he fight Gavin Gwynn? Morcito Hester? Let Jeremiah Nakatali. Let's get him a name. Let's put him in and let's match him tough. Antonio Moran, I'd like to see that. Let's get him a real scrap. Like let's get him a real good test. Guys, say what's up as you pop in, as you roll in. Just say what's up. I am hyper impressed by Hamzah. It's his size. He knows how to use his size. He can fight tall. He can fight long. He can get on the inside and punish you. He can punish you from the outside. I am super impressed with Hamzah Sheeraz. it's going to be interesting to see where he goes next, because this is a guy that I think you can move super quick. You can move this guy incredibly quick. I kind of think he's ready already. Like he's ready. Like, Sam Noakes might be a fight or two away. Hamzah Sheeraz, no, that dude's ready right now. And you go through his resume, and you can see he's going through the progressions. He's got Bradley Skeet on his resume. He's got River Wilson Bent. Right now, he's got Liam Williams. He's starting to put those types of names together and he's destroying these guys. Right? I know he didn't destroy Skeet like he'd want him to, but he stopped him in 9. He destroyed Wilson River Bent in 2. Then he came back and be an undefeated guy. Not exactly setting the world on fire in Dimitro Matafanov, and then he fought Liam Williams and destroyed Liam Williams in less than a round. Absolutely one-sided beatdown. I mean, I don't know what else you'd want in a performance, right? Like he's a knockout artist. He's a pressure fighter. He's a seek and destroy guy, and that's exactly what he did against a quality opponent. That's no bum. That's not a bum in there. Liam Williams is far better than what Anthony Yarde fought. And I'm not disrespecting Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde is a world-class fighter. But come on, bro. Who are you fighting in there, Anthony Yarde? You got to do better than that. Anthony Yarde. There may be lions in the camp, but there's tomato cans in the ring. Just absolutely destroying cans. Hamzah Sheeraz just fought a better guy than Anthony Yarde did. Keep that in mind. Like, factor that in. And then Sam Noakes, too. Tonight was a really, really good night if you're Frank Warren. Like, this is like an A+ night. Anthony Yarde gets a win, right? But that's really the least of note. You got Sam Noakes, and Hamzah Sheeraz, who looked like world caliber fighters, elite level, world-class fighters. You've got something there. You have 2 potential future world champions in Noakes and Sheeraz. And then, Masoud Abdullah got the win. Tommy Fletcher got the win. What do you got in Tommy Fletcher? I want to see more of Tommy Fletcher, but maybe you got something in Tommy Fletcher. If you're Frank Warren, if you're Queensberry Promotions, tonight was a home run. The home run. It's not a base hit. It's a home run. This was a great night. I don't know how many people watched it in the U.S., but if you did, and you're not a super duper hardcore like me, if you're not a super duper hardcore that follows everything in the world of boxing internationally, you got introduced to Sheeraz and Noakes today, and they were impressive. If this is the first you've seen of them, you got a good impression. And you're going to be chomping at the bit to see more of them. And that's really what you want at this stage. You want people to want to see your fighter again, want to see him take steps up. And if you're Sam Noakes or you're Sheeraz, everyone wants to see you take that next step up. With Noakes, it's going to be a little more difficult. He's in a much more talent-loaded division, especially with the younger fighters. I'm not saying he's going to be outclassed or beaten up by any of those guys, but there's other guys who want to be fed too. All right, that's my point. There's other guys who want to be fed. Isaac Cruz hasn't got a title fight, right? So, where does he go? It's a little more complicated than that. Like, it's a little more complicated than that. I'd like to see him fight Oscar Durate or a mover. If I was to make his next fight, I would take either Oscar Durate or Hector Tanahara. I think either one of those guys would be a good opponent for Sam Noakes. Let's get a win over those guys. And then after that, kind of the world is your oyster. But get a win over a name like that first. All right, Elbright. Joseph Diaz, they're going to save him for. Antonio Moran is a name I'd like to see him fight. Like, fight Antonio Moran. How are you going to do with a fighter like that? Joseph Adorno. But Matt Noakes is in the conversation now. Like, he is in the conversation of guys to keep your eye on at 135 pounds. Like, he's definitely there. Hamzah Sheeraz. If you have not seen Hamzah Sheeraz, well, you need to get with it. Because this is a name you're going to hear a lot about moving forward. 24 years old. Already, he's a top 10 middleweight. Middleweight's not the most loaded division in the world. This guy is already a top 10 middleweight. So to me, he's already in the world title picture. I don't know where you go with the next. Liam Smith, maybe. Ammo Williams, Shane Mosley Jr. They're not going to make the Ammo Williams fight, obviously. Neither side, I don't think, would make that. Former world champ Vincenzo Gualtieri. Right, but these are the kind of names. I actually think that's an intriguing fight. I'd like to see that. The former world champ, Vincenzo Gualtieri, former IBF world champion, and Hamzah Sheeraz next. To that, I just made a really, really, really intriguing fight. Yeah, Rafa. Rafa cleaned up this week. Good week. Yeah, it was a good week. If you followed me, you went 4-0. You went 4-0 this week if you took my bets and you made money. You got Teofimo Lopez and you went 3-0 today. I didn't do a video on the DAZN fight. I couldn't find enough video, so I didn't want to put anything out. And not Sheeraz is hella tall. Yeah, he's 6'3", but he looks like he's 6'6". They only list him at 6'3". It seems like that's a little. They're selling him short a few inches. It seems like they're selling him short. He seems taller and longer than 6'3". But yeah, that guy's a problem, man. 5 inches taller than Liam Williams and just destroying people. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. Is anyone in particular you guys want to see him fight? Like I said, I want to see him fight Vincenzo Gualtieri. I've heard a friend of mine say Austin Ammo Williams. But he's ready for that level. He's ready for a world-class fighter. He's ready for a top-notch fighter. And Sam Noakes is getting close. And Anthony Yard is fighting tuna cans. Anthony Yard. You got to do better than that, Matt. Anthony Yard is a good fighter who's fought competitively against the best fighters in the world. But you got to do better than who this guy you just fought. This Serbian guy, Marko Nikolic. Am I saying that right? You gotta do better than Marko Nikolic. You gotta. This is a guy. The over/under on this fight was 2.5 rounds on DraftKings. So that told you what they thought of this fight. He fought Ivan Zuko back in April of 2022, almost 2 years ago now. I did a scouting report on Ivan Zuko right after this. You got to do better. Like your Anthony Yard is beyond this. He's way beyond this. Now I understand people love him and he's going to get another world title shot. I'm not begrudging the guy for getting world title fights. But you got to do better than this. Like it's gotta be better than. Who is this guy? Marko Nikolic. It's got to be better than this guy. This is, you're way past this and way beyond this. Like Anthony Yard, you've been in the ring and you fought competitively until you got stopped by Beterbiev and Kovalev, who are pound for pounders. You fought competitively with those guys. You got good wins. You do have Lyndon Arthur, Alex Theron, their names. You got to fight better guys. Like, this does nothing for you. The American fans who tuned in, you refresh their memory. Okay, Anthony Yard's still fighting. The British fans, I guess, you were fighting. They said 800 yards from your home. That's pretty close. That's pretty close. But I guess they wanted to see you and they got to see you. But this fight's a non-event. That's a non-starter for Anthony Yard. Like, that's not even a good. I would get you a better sparring partner than that. Honestly, that's not even a good sparring partner. Who do you guys want to see Anthony Yard fight next? Anyone in particular at 175 that you guys want to see Yard fight next? I'm going to look over the landscape of it real quick. How would he do with Buatsi? How would Anthony Yard do with Joshua Buatsi? I mean, Buatsi is so much better, a million times better. I think Buatsi would handle him, but how do you guys think Yard would do with someone like that? How would Here's one for you. Here's an interesting one. Diego Pacheco do with Hamzah Sheeraz. Hamzah Sheeraz. I know Pacheco's up in weight now, so that won't work. That won't work. Pacheco's 168 now, so that won't work. But I mean, these are the kind of fights I want to see Hamzah in. I want to see Hamzah take a giant leap forward, and I want to see Hamzah in with a world class guy. You know, I don't care if it's a veteran who might be a little past it or an up and comer. I want to see Hamzah Sheeraz in with a top notch 160 pounder who can really make him work. He went in with Skeet early in his career, and Skeet made him work. Skeet pushed him, and good. He should. But now I want to see him fight high level guys. I want to see him pushed again. I don't want to see him keep getting first round, second round knockouts. He's on a streak, and maybe that's what he is right now. You know, maybe at this level he's just going to destroy it. And maybe if he steps up, he's still going to destroy guys. But we need to see it. You know, maybe he steps up the level of competition and is still washing fools out. There's just something to him. He's a special fighter. Like he's got a world championship pedigree to him. He's got a world championship ability and power to him. So I want to see him take a step up though, and let's see how he does with Shane Mosley Jr. Let's see how, what were some of the other names that I gave? But definitely, I mean, people thought, and I thought too, Liam Williams is tough as hell. Liam Williams is a durable guy. Liam Williams will no doubt be able to give him rounds. And he was not. Liam Williams offered no resistance in that fight. And I'm not throwing shade at Liam Williams. We know who he is. We know what he's capable of. And he came to fight and he came to win. He just got blown away. He just got blown away by a special young man. And I've been tough on British fighters in the past. I've given them, I said they're British level fighters, they're domestic level fighters. These aren't world class fighters. Hamzah Sheeraz is a world class special fighter. Give me 1 second here. Hang on 1 second. Hang on. But yeah, sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that. Hamzah Sheeraz is someone we want to see again. The 160-pound division, not the most talent-load division at this particular moment. That can change. That can change, especially when you have prospects like Hamzah Sheeraz. There's a couple of good fighters in it. We don't know what Jamal Charlo is doing. The division's kind of wide open right now. Is Jamal Charlo going to go up there? What is the division really? What is the division right now? And who runs the division right now? It's kind of wide open. And Hamzah Sheeraz is there for the taking. Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith are guys that are near the top of the list. But would we pick Sheeraz to beat either one of those guys? Both of those guys? You might. Janabek holds 2 of the belts, correct? That's kind of the class of division right now with Jamal Charlo out. So there's going to be options for Hamzah, and it's just a matter of how quickly can he get moving. Yeah, Liam Williams is done, is what Rafa's saying. Liam Williams is done. No, I agree. But like Rafa, right now at 160 pounds, besides Janabek, give me the name of the guy that you think really, really could push Hamzah Sheeraz. Like, who would you, if you were matchmaking and you wanted him to really, really get tested, what's the name of the guy that you would put him in with? Who would you like to test him with? That's what I'm saying. There's not, if you can come up with a name, I want to listen. I want to. The best name I can come up with right now in that division, which is not the most talent loaded, is Shane Mosley. BoxRec has Zanabek as number 6 in the division. I don't even know how to respond to that. That I don't. I'll give you a name, and Marquise Taylor. Marquise Taylor. What do you guys think? Is that, Marquise Taylor's a guy. He put some good wins together. He's already like 30 years old. He's had trouble securing that big fight. He's got a 15-1 and 2 record, but he beat the Cuban Yoelvis Gomez back in July. Dropped him in round 2, beat him up, dominated one every round. He's got that bogus draw with Paul Kroll, which was a win, and he's got Marquise Taylor. He fought a lot on Marlon Harrington, Paul Kroll, Oscar. He fought a lot on Showbox when Showbox was still a thing. He built kind of a star up there a little bit, but there's not a ton of names right now. That's what I'm saying. Greg, I agree. Mosley Jr. might last until the 3rd if Hamzah fights like that. Yeah, but it's just tough. At 160, there's not a lot of great names. You guys want to see him fight? Rafa says Eubank. Yeah, let's do the Eubank fight. I'm with the Eubank fight. Rafa, who do you think wins, Hamzah or Eubank? Right? Like, I'm good. Let's do the Eubank fight. Like, Derevyanchenko is still around. He's 168. He's tough, but not really dangerous. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can always do Derevyanchenko and he'll be rugged, but that's like, you know what, Greg, actually, that's not a bad name. If Hamzah wanted to fight him somewhere, it's between 160 and 168, let's do that. That's good pull, Greg. Derevyanchenko is, 68, but it's a little 68. I'm sure Hamzah would be happy to get that name on his resume. And they could do it at 164 pounds, right? Because Derevyanchenko would have no problem making that. And Hamzah would be happy to go up to 4 pounds, right? Like, I don't know how easily Hamzah's making the weight, but he looks really big. So I'm sure he'd be happy. Throw John Ryder at him? Yeah, these are 168s. And that's fine. You could do that. You could throw Ryder. These are 168s, though. Hamzah's 160. But yeah, no, you could do something like that. John Ryder. It's a good fight. These are good tests. Right now, if Hamzah fought Jaime Munguia next, who would y'all pick to win? You'd take Hamzah, right? I would too. I would. There are some names. I like what you guys are throwing out there. Derevyanchenko, John Ryder. These are valid fighters. These are good tests. It'll be the best guy he's been in with, even though they're not exactly the same weight class. It's close enough. We can make that work. Because if you just go through the roster at 160 pounds, it's really, really underwhelming right now. I would still like to see Vincenzo Gualtieri, someone like that, but Hamzah goes right through him. Hamzah's going to go through a lot of people right now. Is anyone watching the fight on the Zone? Is anyone watching the Matchroom card right now? How did that fight? Liam Dillon, how did that fight end up? I'm going to go watch it after this. I'm not underestimating Munguia anymore. He might not be the best of the division, but there is something. I agree with that. I thought John Ryder was going to give him a lot of trouble. I thought John Ryder was going to lose by bogus decision, and he stopped John Ryder and went through him. So I agree with that, Greg. I think, we've crapped on Jaime Munguia a lot, and he's no longer warranted to being crapped on. Like, he's not the best 168-pound in the world. He's not going to beat Benavidez or Canelo, but he's a good fighter. And, he's at least a B-plus fighter who might lose to the A-plus guys and beat everybody else. And he destroys everyone else. So, if I said to you guys, Jamal Charlo, Big Charlo, and Munguia, I don't think that's so obvious. I don't think that's so obvious who you picked in that fight. Prior to Ryder, I would have laughed at the question and just picked Charlo. Now, No, that's interesting. That's an interesting fight. So I agree with Craig. With Greg. Munguia is not to be dumped on anymore. Munguia is not someone to be laughed at or crapped on. He's a good fighter. And again, he's flawed and he can get hit, but he can do what he wants in there. He can impose himself physically. He can cut off the ring well. He can apply pressure. He can, and then obviously he can hit. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Munguia and Charlo would be a great match. And Oscar's been trying to make this fight for a while. And at the time, when Munguia was fighting Spike O'Sullivan and dudes like that, it was like, well, Munguia is not quite ready. Munguia is not quite ready. Now he is. And now I don't think PBC would want to make the fight because if they're going to hand Charlo over to lose, they're going to hand him over to one of their guys. They're not going to put him in with. But I agree that that's a good fight. And if that got made, you know what? Just top of my head, I may lean towards Munguia in that fight. I think I might. The Charlos have been a little disappointing. Big Charlo has been out of the ring forever, right? Like he just doesn't fight. He took 2.5 years off, came back, didn't look really that good. So right now, if I'm forced to make a pick, I would take Munguia in that fight. Greg, you taking Munguia? You taking Charlo? Who would you like hypothetically if that fight was to happen next? It's a good fight. Greg's on point today. Bonus points for Greg. Guys, make sure to hit that like button. Hit the like button. If you don't already subscribe, please subscribe. Hit the like button. Also, follow my Patreon. Join the Patreon. Just $5 a month. Get you all types of perks. Get you a free t-shirt. It gets you a lock of the week. Guys, we went 4-0 this week. We went 4-0 this week. That's no little thing. Like, I know I do it all the time. I go 4-0 all the time because, it's what the hell I do. But join the Patreon. You get lock of the week. $5 a month gets you the free t-shirt, lock of the week, scouting report. You can ask me to handicap a fight that I haven't done a video on, and I will do it. Anything that you guys want, $5 a month. Join the Patreon. Join the Patreon family. Thinking about starting a Discord too, where we get some more members in there. But yeah, join the Patreon. Also, like and subscribe. That stuff is all free. So help us with that. Help us with all the good stuff. Charles is a little faded, so I think we can take it. Yeah, it's kind of my, that's kind of my inkling too. Charles already 32, 33 years old now. And not that he's super old, but the inactivity and not fighting the best guys, the lack of competition, the lack of fighting a world-class elite level fighters, combined with the inactivity and his age now, I think we may have never seen the best of Charlo. I think the best of Charlo was sidelined with personal issues. And I think right now he's a little bit past it. He's not as good as he once was. And I do think Munguia probably takes it. I think Greg's right about that. And that's a shame, because both Charlo brothers, they came on like gangbusters, and like that's the future right there. And those guys are gonna carry the PBC banner, and they have that pay-per-view in I guess it was 2018 or whatever, when they fought Korobov and Mel lost to Tony Harrison. They split the pay-per-view. It's like, okay, this is it. This is the future. Like, this is what is going to carry PBC. And then they both kind of went quiet for a while. Jamel did good things. And if you start to look at resumes, Jamel is bordering now what a Hall of Fame resume looks like. I still think he needs 1 or 2 more wins, and who knows if he ever gets it. But I think that the idea that Jamal Charlo could be a Hall of Famer is really going to be on the back burner unless he can do something drastic, which I don't think he can. If he beats Benavidez or Canelo, I think Jamal Charlo is a Hall of Famer off of that, and winning 2 other world titles. But I don't see that happening. So I personally think that we never really got to see the best of Jamal Charlo for personal reasons. Like, he didn't want to do it. I was listening to a podcast with JJ Redick, and he was talking to I think it was Boogie Cousins, maybe someone like that. And JJ was talking about his off-season regimen, what he did day-to-day off-season. And Boogie Cousins was like, damn, I listening to that, I could have got a lot more out of my career. Yeah, and now it's over. And now Boogie Cousins' career is over. And he looks at a guy like JJ Redick, like, I'm way more talented than this guy, and he had a better career than me. He made more money than me. He played longer than me. That's hard to swallow. But the time is now, right? Like the time to do that is right now. Jamal Charlo can get back there, but he needs to be in the gym. He needs to be focused. He needs to fight 3 times this year, and he just needs to be about that life. And if he does that, he can get to where he wants to. But I don't want, what I'm afraid of and what I think is going to happen is that both Charlos, especially Big Charlo, is going to look back at their career 10 years from now and be like, I could have got more out of my career. I could have got more out of my career. You could have, and you chose not to. You made a conscious choice not to by not pushing yourself, by not testing yourself. Like, push yourself. See what you're capable of. Look, Jamal Charlo and Jamel Charlo are extremely talented fighters. And from whom much is given, much is expected. If these were just ordinary fighters, if this was just Liam Williams, we would say that's an excellent career, but it's not. Like, their capabilities, their athleticism, their punching power, it puts them so much higher. Those guys can fight. Those guys can fight their tails off. So we expect a lot from them. And the Charlos really, really didn't deliver on it. I'm also, just a note, I'm going to be in New York City for the Oshaki Foster fight on February 16th. That's at Madison Square Garden. It's a Friday night. I'm going to be at Madison Square Garden as media. I just got approved from Top Rank. So I'm going to be at that fight. I'm going to try to get lots of content for you guys. I'm going to try to go live at that fight. I'm going to do a video breakdown on Oshaki Foster and Abraham Nova today. I'm going to have that posted late night overnight. I'm going to do that late night tonight. Break that down for you guys. And I'm going to try to do videos Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Get you 4 videos out for this week. And then I'm going to be out of pocket for a while. I'm going to be out of town Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm probably not going to do any predictions. I'm going to try to get everything in the first half of the week. I'm going to try to load you guys up with videos. And I'm still going to have the lock of the week for the Patreon. So if you guys want the lock of the week, join the Patreon, $5 a month. You get the lock of the week. It doesn't cost you anything. It makes you money because you're getting the lock, and we just went 4-0. Who else goes 4-0 like it's no thing? Anyone else goes 4-0, they're like freaking themselves out. I go 4-0 because I feel like it. I go 4-0 because I can't get anything wrong. So follow me, subscribe to the Patreon. I'm gonna put the link up in here to join the Patreon. It's just $5 a month. If you guys want this kind of content, you guys want me to continually show you how to make money betting on the sport of boxing, join the Patreon. Join the family. Support us. Keep us going. Greg says, I think the Charlos just grew old on the vine. The lack of top competition is going to downgrade their legacy. Yeah, especially for Jamal Charlo, because we view Jamal Charlo as probably the better Charlo, on the way up as the more talented Charlo. And his resume is just trash. Like, it's just not good, especially after he left 154 and went to 160. It's not anything you want to talk about, right? Like, and he's 33-0, 22 knockouts. Beautiful. Here's his names. Jose Benavidez. Okay. Juan Montiel. Okay. Sergey Derevyanchenko. There's the best name on his resume. Good win. Dennis Hogan. Cannon Adams, Korobov, which he may have lost, Hugo Centennial, and Sebastian Hyland. Those are the names after he beat Julian J. Rock Williams at 154 pounds. So starting in 2017. So for the last 6+ years, that's his resume. Jorge Sebastian Hyland, Hugo Centennial, Matt Korobov, Brandon Adams, Dennis Hogan, Sergey Derevyanchenko, Juan Montiel, Jose Benavidez. That's it. That's his whole resume over 6.5 years. The 6.5 years of his career that's supposed to be his absolute prime. That's what he wasted it on. But anyway, I want to get off of Jamal Charlo, and I want to get back on to Hamzah Sheeraz and Sam Noakes. It was an exciting night. It was a really good night for Frank Warren. If you're Frank Warren, you got to be stoked with that. You got to be super, super excited with what you got. That was super high level, and both guys left you wanting to see more. And at this level, against this kind of competition, at this stage of your career, that's what you want. You want the fight fans to be begging to see more. And we want to see more of Noakes. We want to see more of Hamzah. And Anthony Yarde, fight somebody good. Fight somebody good. Also, Masood Abdullah look good. So if you're Frank Warren, you got to be super, super pleased with what you got tonight. You got really, really high level performances from the two guys you wanted to get them from. Anthony Yarde took care of business, and if you guys tuned in real early and you got to see Masood Abdullah, you also got a treat, right? So it was just a really, really good night for Queensberry Promotions from top to bottom. But we're gonna wrap this up soon. If you guys have any last minute questions, any last minute thoughts, anything you want me to read, respond to, react to, put it in the chat now. If not, we're gonna wrap this up. Glenn's here. Yeah, it was a really good. Glenn says it was a great card. Glenn says, haha, today was a good day. I had a parlay with Yarde, Noakes, Bong, Mossad, and Hamzah, all by KO. Wow! Yarde, Noakes, Mossad, Hamzah. That is a heck of a parlay. What did that pay for you, Glenn? That's really good. Hats off to Glenn. Excellent work, Glenn. Greg says, Ryan Garcia versus Haney Scuffle. Yeah, I'm surprised that Ryan Garcia is taking this fight because he's going to lose again. And that's going to be two bad losses in a relatively short period of time. Now, I understand he's very good looking and he's a star. But at a certain point, you got to at least make good fights. And the Tank Davis fight was not good. He was not competitive in it beyond the first round. And this fight is also not going to be a good look for Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is not going to do well in this fight. And after that, kind of like, what do you do with them? They're in a rough spot over there, Golden Boy. Yeah, Greg, you ain't kidding. $300 to make $1,500. I also had a parlay with Yarde 1-2. It was so close. Referee should have stopped at round 2, let it go to round 3 for what more damage for. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I would have stopped it after round 2. I had my eye on that. I was like, well, the over-under on DraftKings on that fight was 2.5. That's what they had the over-under on. It was basically even. I think it was like minus 110 either way. And I was like, yeah, they should just stop this in the second. If I'm the ref, I'm stopping that in the second because that was brutal. It was unnecessary to let it go on. The fight should have never been made in the first place. Anthony Yarde, you did what you were supposed to, but fight better dudes. Fight better guys. Frank Warren, get him better opponents. Get Anthony Yarde, a world-class fighter. Get him better opponents than that Serbian guy who, for no reason. Waiting for a Curiel fight next week now. Yeah, next week's a good fight. Next weekend is a good fight weekend. It's a really good fight weekend. You remember you got Pro Box on Friday too. You got Ramon Cardenas, 118, 122 pound up and cover from San Antonio. Really keep your eye on. We'll do a video on that as well. Yarde beat up a McDonald's cook. Yeah, and not their best cook either. Like McDonald's didn't want to sacrifice their best cook, so they just gave you a cook. They didn't want their best cook to get sidelined, so they just said, here, take a cook. The refs seem to be making their own prop bets. Yeah. I think the ref had Yarde by third round knockout, and he wanted to push it. But that was. Did anyone watch the DAZN card? Liam Dillon and Reese Bellotti. Did anyone watch that card over there on Matchroom? How did that go? I'm gonna put it on now. I'm gonna go back and watch some of that. I'm assuming it's over, but I wanted to see that fight anyway. I'm not really familiar with Dillon, and I couldn't find much of him on the internet, so I didn't handicap that fight because I didn't want to do you guys an injustice. I had someone accusing me of not watching tape on the guys. Guys, I watch every second of tape I can find on these guys. It was Peter Dobson. I watched like 3 Peter Dobson fights. That's all I can find. And that's a lot of Peter Dobson to know that he was not going to be competitive with Conor Benn. Now, he was more competitive than I thought, but he really didn't win any rounds. But no, you don't go 4-0 every week like I do and not watch a ton of tape. I watch a ton of tape, and that's what allows me to do scouting reports too. All right, guys. Thank you, Greg. I watch a ton of tape. Guys, please like and subscribe if you don't. already subscribed, please like. Thank you for your comments. We're going to wrap this up. I've been going for over 40 minutes already. So we're going to wrap this up. Remember, guys, join the Patreon as well. Join the Patreon family. If we get enough members, I'm going to start a Discord and we can break down the odds and break down the fights, and we can do live betting and things like that in the Discord. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Again, please join the Patreon. I'm going to put it one more time. There's the Patreon. Come join me. We got a few members already. Come join the Patreon. Just $5 a month. You get a ton of perks. You get the lock of the week. You get a ton of good perks. Please join. Please show support for the Boxing Bookie. Also, it is February 10th, 2024. From Texas to the world, thank you and God bless.